Okay, so here it is, the new D-Lab, Duotone Unit D-Lab. Just going to give you a quick tour. I've literally just unrolled it. I have taken off all the tags. So I'm familiar with the shape of the unit. I've used the 2020 models, not the models with the rigid handles, but the shape hasn't changed that much. A little bit of tweaking here and there, but it's the Alula that I'm really interested to know how this handles, the differences in performance. So just really quickly, we've got the two smaller windows here and here, which, you know, it's nice to have windows. You're certainly not going to be able to see everything through them by any means, but in my opinion, windows or not, you should always lift up the wing to get a good look around you before you turn anyway, avoid accidents. So the Alula material itself is really smooth. It feels like it'll be completely non-absorbent, so it won't increase weight when wet, which is really nice. We all know that it's got super lightweight and very stiff properties otherwise. The handles look awesome, they really do. They're slightly narrower in diameter than the Slick Boom, which I'm used to, and oval in shape, so that should be really nice and ergonomic for your hands. We have a normal Duotone valve. We have the center strut dump valve here, and we also have another dump valve over here at the end, which will make rolling up a hell of a lot quicker if you're in a hurry. If not, I've never had a problem with these deflating. Anyway, so this is a welcome change from my point of view. I've always felt that these were too small, but this is a lot bigger, a lot looser. So the leading edge handle, it's got this lovely padded section here, so you're not going to scrape your knuckles. That's not new in itself, but the fact that this loop is much bigger should make life a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to pump this bad boy up. This is the 6.5 meter. I'm going to pump this bad boy up and just see what is what. Okay, so as ever with the unit, the funky shape of that center strut gives it its distinctive shape. The pressure for the 6.5, 6 psi, and the canopy is looking very taut, very, very taut, as is the leading edge. Incredibly tight, and that's only at 6 psi. Okay, so the trailing edge, very, very tight. I'm going to measure all of this from center strut to wingtip, and then in a few months, or every month or so, I'll remeasure it and just track the amount of stretch that happens if it does. So yeah, first impressions. Incredibly well made wing. All the Duotone hallmarks of quality are there. No twists to the bladder whatsoever. The valves are all doing what they should do. Got one of these tiny little mini battens either end, close to the wingtips. So incredibly tight canopy. It really is the most rigid I've ever come across. Let's pick it up, see what it feels like. Okay. Be careful, a little bit tight for space indoors, but I hope you can see what I'm trying to show. That is tweet. Not much more to say until I get it on the water for a quick test. Till then. Woo. Okay, so on with the testing. Now I'm really hoping that the 6.5 D-Lab will be able to take the full range of wind that so far I've been using with my 7 and 6 meter Duotone Slicks. And I'm also going to be putting it up against the F-One Strike CWC 8 meter because it's meant to have a really good low end, so there's no harm in just seeing and testing, can it actually replace the 8 meter as well? So with that in mind, I'm just going to show in the first clip the 6.5 D-Lab on the top of the 8 meter CWC, just as a size comparison, partly because I've already sold the 7 and 6 meter Duotone Slicks to be able to afford the D-Lab. Okay, so the following clips are of the first 3 days of me using the D-Lab. The first day is super light wind, and the second and third days are all about 14 knots, so nicely powered. Okay, let's get on with the action. Sweet, okay, so overlay time. You can see the wing tip or the wingspan over there and over here, so marginal, but it is a shorter wingspan on the D-Lab 6.5, as to be expected. The profile very different. The D-Lab is incredibly tight, flat canopy, whereas, as we know, the CWC has got an incredibly big belly. Gotta love the big bellies. It'll be interesting to see how such a performance design compares for light wind performance. Okay, well that's enough eye candy. Let's get to the main event. Okay, so already it feels incredibly light, much lighter than the F1, which is a light kite. I know it's big, but it's light for its size. Flying incredibly well, just, you know, a little bit from side to side. Take it out on the leash. Yeah, it's well behaved. A little bit of wander. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. I mean, it already feels powerful. And I haven't even sheeted in, haven't even touched it with my backhand yet. Okay, let's give it a go. GoPro stick is wobbling like crazy. Let's bring it in a bit. Okay, hopefully that won't wobble quite so much now. Okay, let's give it a go. Whew. Let's give it a go. Nice and easy up, not going super fast or anything. plug into this to make it easier to hold the GoPro. Right, let's give it another go. Whew. It is just too hot to be pumping like this. Well, clearly the 8 meter rules the waves in these conditions, but literally just another 50 meters or so and I'll be in the wind line. Now I can feel it beginning. Yeah, here we go. It's another knot. So, apart from the heat causing me to asphyxiate, well, my first impressions from the very little that I've done so far, it feels like the 8 meter has got a lot more power for pumping in light wind to get onto foil. But now I'm on foil, it actually feels like I've got more power. Definitely. Super stable. I mean, literally. I mean, I'm pumping, not that I need to, I'm pumping, and there's no flappage. Is that a word? It is now. There's no flappage from any part, not even the trailing edge. Nice. Very nice. Okay, definitely more power. Let's turn. Oh, I forgot that I've not got a slick. I reached for the centre of the boom and it wasn't there. So a mad grab for the back handle and I'm in and going, but it won't take me long, I'm sure, to remember that I haven't got a boom to hang on to. Of course, a wing test wouldn't be a wing test if it didn't include a little bit of luffing. So, yeah, the 8 meter is obviously stable and super floaty, super light. It's a beautiful light wind wing. I've done reviews of this wing in the past, so check out my YouTube channel for more details. My opinion on this hand wing has not changed at all. How does it feel for luffing first time? It literally feels like there's nothing there. I've never ever let go of the foil, the wing in winds this light. This is absolutely ridiculous. Let's do that again, right. Am I tempting fate? Probably. Let's get it back under control. Wow. Okay. That is a first for me. I mean, yeah, sure, I've let go of wings before, unintentionally. Sometimes I manage to drag it back in, sometimes the wingtip hits the swell and flips over. sometimes I just crash, but never in wind like this. If I let go of any other wing, I'm absolutely convinced it would just sink slowly or quickly down onto the sea, onto the water. Okay, so the pumping action is nice and easy on this. What I found with the 7-meter slick, A, it's heavy for a big wing. It's 7-meter slick feels heavier than the 8-meter CWC, and as such, in its lightest of wind range, because it's got a flat canopy, it's very hard to pump. This one, I was expecting it to be very hard to pump and generate power, but okay, obviously it's not as easy to generate power from pumping as the 8-meter because of its size difference, but I am impressed with the amount of power that you can generate from pumping this D-Lab. I would say that it's better than the Slick 7-meter. So I've got to say, something else I'm really impressed about with the D-Lab is that just little micro pumps to stop me from stalling, they generate so much more power than I'm used to. So it's like, oh, I'm going to stall, tiny little pumps. So I was like, wow, I didn't expect to save that. So yeah, I suppose that's because of the tight canopy. I keep on going like that, don't I? Oh, it's got such a tight canopy. Matron. That's showing my age, isn't it? Carry on films, where do they go to, eh? Probably into the bin of political correctness. See what it's like holding it with one handle. Well, you certainly don't get the full power like you do holding it in the middle of the Slicks mini boom, but you can the tiniest little bit of sheeting in with it, I suppose. Right. Okay, the windows. The top one, I'm guessing you're not supposed to look out of when you're riding, unless you want to look at the sun or birds. The bottom one, for me at my height, 6'2", I have to lift, literally just lift up my hands about 6 inches, and I've got a better field of view than I thought I would. But it's still not, you know, obviously all encompassing. So my advice for anybody, whether you've got windows, especially not, before you turn, just lift up your wing and look. You know, you will have blind spots, so unless you lift your wing and look before turning, there is a danger of you turning into something or someone. Oh, straight up. Okay, now I have no idea if you can hear this, but I just want to say about the angle at which the D-Lab, or the unit I suppose, flies. It's such a nice 45-degree angle, even with the harness here. I don't have to apply any hand pressure really, it just wants to fly at 45 degrees. As such, what I'm used to in terms of wingspan with the Slick, which is much shorter than this, so the unit's wingspan is longer than the comparative sizes in the Slick, but I've got less of a problem with wingtip touchdowns with this Unit D-Lab than I do with the Slick. Even in the 6 Slick compared to the 6.5 D-Lab, and even when I do touch the wingtip, which is very rare, it makes such little impact. It really, I don't know how it does it. Maybe it's because of the shape, the outline that makes the wing want to stay at 45 degrees. If the wingtip touches down, it's less likely to tilt the whole wing forwards. The lift, because it's got quite an upwards lift as well as forwards, maybe that's what prevents the wingtip touchdowns from being anywhere near of a problem as any of the other wings that I've used. Right, so the D-Lab goes upwind like a beast. Oh, there's a wingtip touchdown, and really I would have expected to have gone. And the upwind angle is just crazy. I can go upwind at such a better angle with less loss of speed as well. Really good. Okay, so do I miss the mini boom from the Slick? Because when you're downwinding, holding the leading edge handle, if you're constantly, hang on, that's alright. If you're constantly changing direction in the swell, first that way, then that way, and you hang about too long going downwind like this, then the whole thing drops down. Nothing you can do stops it. So you have to hold it high above your head to stop that from happening, and then there we go. Then you can keep it above you and use the boom, because it's rigid, to rotate from side to side as you carve without it falling down. It can be done with handles, but it's a lot harder. The mini boom makes it a lot easier. So how about these rigid handles? It's a good compromise. Not quite as easy as the mini boom, but still a hell of a lot easier than just handles. Oh, great.
Okay, so to conclude, the 6.5 D-Lab is a phenomenal wing. In terms of performance, its main strength is luffing, but almost equally, just its usability. Its power, smooth power delivery, the ease at which it moves across during transitions. The handles are really efficient and very comfortable. The Alula material is so stiff that if it flips onto its back during a wipeout, it actually makes it really easy to flip over again because of the stiffness of the leading edge. Will it replace the 7 and the 6 meter Duotone Slicks? For me, yes, definitely. It far surpasses the 7 meter in terms of usability for its low and high end. The 6 meter, well, I haven't pushed the D-Lab 6.5 in terms of its top end. I've taken it out, as you know now, in 14 knots, and yes, it was probably gusting a little bit more than that occasionally, and I never felt even remotely overpowered at any time. So I do feel like it can take more power than that comfortably. So yes, I think that it will take the place of those two wings very easily. Will it take the place of the 8 meter CWC? No. In the sub 8 knot zone, it can't perform anywhere near as well as the 8 meter, obviously to be expected because of the size difference, but it was interesting to test it. And there's not much difference really. From 10 knots, I can get going no problem at all.